No.
All right, here you go, Mom. You can participate. You can come off.
Would the Davidson family please mute their thing? Thank you. All right. I do not see Mr. Hanna joining us at this moment. It's a couple minutes after 7. So, Mr. Rivas, if you would like to begin the meeting, I'll just keep my eye on the attendance. All right.
All righty, sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, March 9th, 2023, 7 p.m. I myself, Acting Chairman Juan Rivas, I will proceed with tonight's roll call. Mr. Civet.
Yep, present.
Mr. DeLucia.
Present.
Mr. Ribeiro.
Here.
And for tonight's meeting, I will be sitting Rick Cruz in place of Johanna.
Present.
Present. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. I'm going to move forward now with the acceptance of the meetings of February 9th. If I can please have a motion.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of February 9th, 2023 as submitted.
I second.
All approve?
Aye.
Any nays? Oh, excuse me. Roll call vote. Excuse me. Moving forward, we have to do a roll call vote. Mr. Civet?
Aye.
Mr. DeLucia?
Present.
Mr. Rivera?
Aye.
Mr. Ruse?
He can't.
I was not present
yes,
for that meeting.
yes, correct, Mary. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry. So I have 3 yeas, none in the negative, none abstaining. Motion to approve the minutes passes. Can I get a motion to hear the public hearings listed for tonight's agenda?
I make a motion to hear 23-01, 9 Charlotte's Way, Burgess David, RA 80 zone, section 4A3, reduce minimum yard setback from 40 feet to 25.5 feet for proposed garage addition.
Mr. DeLucia, if you don't mind, can we just list off all the applicants or applications so we can, hear the applications?
23-02, 13 Joe's Hill Road, Coverly David, RA 40 zone, increase maximum driveway centerline grade from 12% to 16%. A copy of this application is on file in the Department of Planning and Zoning for public inspection. 23-03, 62 Triangle Street, JR Associates LLC, reduced front yard setback from 30 feet to 21 on Star Avenue. Section 6C2B, reduced front yard planting strip from 20 feet to 11 feet on Star Avenue. 23-04, 1 Delta Avenue, Galapagos, Petros, and Adriana. RA 20 zone, section 4A3, reduced front setback from 30 feet to 12.9 on the Park Avenue side and reduced the front setback from 30 feet to 12.3 on the Delta side for proposed addition. Reduced front yard setback from 30 feet to 22.2 Park Avenue and side setback from 15 to 6.9 for proposed deck. Increased maximum building coverage from 20% to 24.1%.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. I think Mr. Civet beat out Mr. Rivera. All right. We're going to do a roll call vote on the opening up of the applications for public hearing. Mr. Civet, yay or nay?
Hey.
Mr. DeLucia?
Yeah.
Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, I just want to note, I have to abstain from the 62 Triangle Street.
All right. Mr. Ruse?
Yay.
Mary, for then 62 Triangle Street, do we want to give the applicant the opportunity to withdraw the application, being that it would then be a 4-member board?
Mr. Rivas, Mr. Beecher would like to answer that question.
Okay. Mr. Beecher, Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. For the record, Tom Beecher representing JAR Associates, and we would like to proceed with the 4 members that would remain, with Mr. Ribeiro recusing himself tonight.
Okay, with that being said, then the motion passes unanimously for public hearings. All right. Can I get the applicant for 2301 to come forward and present their application?
So that's me, Dave Burgess,
Yes, 9 Charlotte's Web.
9 Charlotte's Way. Yep. Thank
Yeah.
you. So thank you for hearing this, Mr. Chairman and all the members of the committee. I've never done this before, so forgive me, I'm stumbling a bit through it. Shall I share my screen and go through this, or just describe it for the members?
Mary, I don't know.
You may share your
My
screen.
screen.
You may share your screen if you wish. I've enabled that.
Okay, great. So this is a copy of the application. And, fundamentally, I'd like to describe, what I'm trying to do here.
Burgess, excuse
yes.
me.
Yep.
Does everybody see that? I don't see it.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Okay.
sorry.
There we go.
I
Here
didn't
we
hit
are. There it
user
is.
operator error. I didn't hit share. There we go. So this is the application, and I included some pictures in there. And so maybe I could just start with, in plain pictures and plain words, what the concept here is. Here's a view of the front of my house. This driveway line is right up against the property line from Michael P. Romano on the south side of the property. There's 41 feet between the driveway line and the house. The house itself has a really small 2-car garage on it. In fact, you open the doors in the garage and you can smash fenders and put dents in cars if you're not careful. And the driveway head is blocked here with all this shelf. You can see, I can't really go any further. A couple of extra pictures here can show you the small 2-car garage. And so I got two teenage kids now driving. And so I don't really have any place to park here or turn around. The rest of the properties in the neighborhood, there's 24 houses in the Shoreview community. And most of them have 3-car garages, and a couple that have 2 are oversized 2-car garages. And I'm kind of stuck on this side with the property line. The Romano residence is literally right here on the other side of those trees. Their driveway's right there. You can't really go back any further because of this shelf. I'd have to blast that. When they built the house, I didn't build it, but they blasted this with dynamite to make a hole to build the house. And then the septic's right here in front of the property, if you can see my cursor. So I can't really build anything on the front either. And so the idea is, if I can cut an additional driveway across the front yard around the fields and build an addition on this side of the house, then I can put a garage and some extra parking down here for, lawn equipment and miscellaneous stuff that you have, and other parking as well. The plan I had was very preliminary. I hope that's okay. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up now, which was just I think Mary gave me a better drawing on the end here. Bear with me. Yeah, here we go. And so the idea here would be, from this side of the house, this is the existing dwelling, to the side property line is 61 feet with an RA 80 zone setback, minimum setback requirement of 40. And so my ask is, if I can reduce that 40 to 25.5, I can put an approximate 26 by 36 addition on the house, attached garage that, connects directly with the walkout basement here. And then the finished part, kind of blending in with the design of the house and the aesthetic appearance. And then cut an additional driveway. This driveway stays, but cut an additional driveway in the form of a circular drive across the front of the house, avoiding the existing septic fields. How'd I do? Are there any other things that I should cover in this?
It's pretty good. I'm sure myself and some of the board members will have questions, follow-up questions to ask. I know I certainly do, but I'll give the chance to the board to ask their questions first.
I have a few questions. Okay, first of all, I made 2 on-sites to this property. The first one, apparently no one was home. I drove up to see what the turnaround radius was for the garage. I had no problem turning my vehicle around. I have an SUV. The garage doors are a lot wider than my single garage doors, so I'm sure that if you try to pull into the garage and you hit the side of the garage, you shouldn't have a driver's license because they're pretty wide. The second question I have is why you would want to mess up your front yard to build a new driveway. My third question is the proposed garage, is it just a garage or is it also going to have a living space above it to match the house? And you have reasonable use of your property, so a variance legally cannot be granted. That's what I have.
Mr. Burgess, you have the opportunity to answer those questions.
And you may wish to stop sharing your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I don't understand the last part of that. You know, if that was a question or a statement.
Well, that's the last one was a statement.
Yeah, so, you know, could you say that again for me, Mr. Sibbett?
You have reasonable use of your property. Legally, we don't have to grant a variance because there's no hardship.
Okay. Am I allowed improvement to the property within that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. The first question was around the turning radius, and I didn't know if that was a question or a statement.
Well, you said you don't have room to turn around vehicles. I went up there and I had no problem turning around.
Yeah, it's pretty tight when I got other cars in the driveway. You know, we've had definitely a bunch of little fender benders in the driveway. So, you know, that's why I'm looking to spend some money and invest in putting another garage on the other end. The second question was related to the driveway across the front yard, if I remember right. It was kind of
Yes.
coming at me, Mr. Sibbett. Well, the front yard, if you were at the site, you know this. The front yard is pretty recessed. That's the backyard. Front yard's pretty recessed. You know, the idea here is I could actually level that yard a bit. You can see it kind of falls off here. And the idea would be it would actually be kind of like a circle drive in here and make that, you know, a nicer, you know, little place in there. I think it'd be improvement to the property, actually. And I don't remember exactly what the third question was. Oh, would I put something on the top of it as living space?
Correct.
Conceivably, you know, we put something on top in line with the first floor of the house. But I haven't made those detailed plans yet because it doesn't make sense for me to spend money on architects if I can't get approval for the side setback.
Okay.
All right, any other board members with questions?
Am I to understand that the existing garage will continue to be used as a garage and that your addition is an additional garage to this?
Yes, sir.
Or is that, okay, thank you.
Yeah, what's there would remain. Yeah, and I'd just be looking to add an additional garage on the side.
Any other board members?
This, this would be a suggestion. If you have any intention of adding, living space above that garage, you would probably want to consider adding that into your application. Because
Okay.
the way things that, if the board should approve the garage, it would be only for the use of a garage.
Okay,
And that you will need to come back in front of this board to build anything in addition to the garage
Okay.
that will constitute living space.
I see. Okay, so I was just a little misinformed there. My understanding was I needed to get the permission for the side setback. And then I would do the detailed design and plans and then get the building permit aspect, but I need to kind of do that again with the zoning board of approvals. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Roos?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so, we had talked about putting a space over the top of that, and, for another bedroom. Our septic definitely will handle that without any further, modification. But it just, kind of just depends on the money here, what we could get done. Ideally, I would like to do that. My wife has MS, and going up and down the stairs is going to soon not be possible. So, that would be ideal, but I don't know how financially we would do that in one go.
All right. I have just Mr. Sibbett asked some of the questions that I already had in mind. My other question to add to the questions already asked, is this a 2-car garage or a single bay garage?
I haven't done those detailed plans yet. The maximum size there, kind of, I put in the architect put in there, the surveyor put in there was 26 by 36. Could be a 2-bay garage or an oversized one. Is there a difference or an approvals or a limitation on that I should be aware of?
No, I mean,
If
you're
you guys
the,
can only approve a 1-car garage, then I'll do a 1-car garage. There's no problem.
that I think if eventually, you're the applicant, you want what you want, but I guess it's up to us to decide if what's reasonable and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 26 by 36 would constitute a good sized 2-car garage for sure.
So basically, you're requesting the variance for the square footage.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't believe that it's gonna matter if it's a 2-car garage or 1-car garage, as long as you do not exceed what we would approve.
Yeah, that was my idea as well. Thanks for confirming. And then I'd have to come back to you and, the rest of the permitting process on the detailed design, but obviously I didn't want to spend the money on that if I couldn't get through this. And like I said, this is my first time doing it, so forgive me for stumbling through in my ignorance.
So I will say that there is, on my behalf, there is some concern as to what exactly it is. I understand, there's an understanding of what you want to do, but it looks like things are up in the air. Things are not really set on concrete as far as with future plans or ideas pending this approval from the ZBA. I understand the hardships you wrote down, but it's kind of, you're still keeping the other driveway still in use. By adding another driveway, I don't know how it alleviates the turning around. You just have another driveway that if you're either pulling into it, you're having to back out of it. And I don't know what kind of turnaround radius you'll have with a driveway that's about 26 feet wide now than one that's 41 feet wide from the original. Just some things that I'm pointing out.
Okay.
Looking at this application. I'll let any other board members speak if they want to ask any further questions. If not, I'll proceed to public comment. Any other board members?
The only thing I would say is that you would definitely have to be, I know you don't want to, you didn't want to jump forward and do the full design without getting this approval, but we really need to see something of what it's going to look like, at least a shell.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
I'm sorry, one other thing too, as we look at the picture of your home. If you can put that back up. Great. Yep, that's perfect. So looking at the house, where is your neighbor's home that lives on the left side of your house as we look at this picture? Where is that in relationship?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so-
that's Lauren Inigo. He's here on the call now. And so,
Okay.
this is the top view. So the addition would go in this space here. And
Right.
Lauren and Terry are down there, down the
Is
hill.
there some sort of rock ledge that separates your properties?
Yeah, this is all rock ledge.
Well, that's behind you, between the two. Yeah,
Yes.
in that area.
Yeah,
That
there's
is rock ledge
there's
also?
a bit of a drop off there. Yeah, of about,
Yeah.
4 or 5 feet, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the driveway's got to cut along, along this line here and give us some space, and they probably got to build that up a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that when I was out there.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no other further questions, I'm going to proceed to the public comments of the application. Anybody from the public in favor of this application?
Hi. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lauren Inigo. I'm Dave's next door neighbor.
Are you in favor of this application or
Well,
on opposition of this application?
I'm neither or. I just gotta voice some concern here. Okay. And my concern as his neighbor is we're obviously at the bottom of a grade and we have a big mountain next to us in which we get a huge runoff of water coming down in between both properties to our property. We currently have a mitigation system that on a heavy downpour gets overwhelmed. That drainage system was designed by the previous house owners. We bought the house after it was done, and in my opinion, it's probably below what should have been built to handle the amount of water that comes down the mountain. My biggest concern, and I voiced this to Dave, and I think my wife did at some point as well, is looking forward, if the variance gets approved and the project can proceed, is how this runoff of water will be dealt with. Understanding that he intends to level his front yard. Our yard is about 5 to 6 feet below his. How would that impact the front of my property? That's my biggest concern, and the reason I don't really oppose and I don't really I'm in favor is because I don't have an idea of how does that look in the future.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anything else?
Mr. Rivas, may I interrupt at this point? We did receive an email from Michael and Mary Romano, the neighbors to the other side. They are not on the call tonight. But they had no objection to the variance, and to quote them, please advise the ZBA that having reviewed the proposed zoning variance requested by Dave and Alicia Burgess, 9 Charlotte's Way, we have no objection to the variance. And that was dated Thursday, January 19th.
All right, thank you, Mary, for reading that into the record. Again, I'm going to continue with anyone on the public in favor of this application? Anyone in the public?
Hello?
Yes,
Can you see me? Hi,
yes. Can you please state your name and address? Or,
I'm not really sure if you could see me, but I'm in a parking lot 'cause my daughter has dance, but, Lauren's wife, Tara, 11 Charlotte's Way. Can you hear me or no?
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I'm in a parking lot. I just have to concur with my husband, and that is our concern, mainly is just the water. It's Niagara Falls on our property. Unfortunately, we are at the end of the neighborhood, and we get a lot of rainfall. So that is our pretty big concern at this point. So
Is that it, ma'am?
that is it for this moment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in favor of this application? All right, we're gonna proceed. Anybody in opposition of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application?
Mr.
Okay,
Burgess, could you close your screen, please?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
all right, I will just comment, before we proceed. Just by, seeing what was presented tonight, hearing some of the commentary, my personal opinion, feel like there's still, some incomplete work that I think needs to be, done, for this application to be, I think, voted on tonight. My opinion as one of the board members here and acting chairman tonight is, I would ask that we either table this or continue this application to maybe ask for more clarification about the living space. I think that the concern of the runoff, what will be done to mitigate the situation in regards to that. And I think that's about it for me. I'll let the rest of the board discuss, and then we'll proceed to either closing the application or doing any other further action.
Do we need to close the public hearing for this?
Oh, yes, we do.
Ms.
No.
Rivas, do we really,
Yeah.
if someone suggests tabling this, it's not
Mm.
closed, it's just continued.
Okay,
Is
Right?
the applicant okay with tabling it or do they?
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with tabling it, and I appreciate all the comments from Lauren and Tara. Of course, we've had conversations together. And, and I acknowledge their concern. And obviously, we'll take that into consideration and do everything we can to mitigate any further. Garages don't create water, but they are at the bottom of a hill on their property, and it does get a lot of runoff. So anything I can do to facilitate that, I've told Lauren and Tara will take into consideration. I also appreciate the other comments from members of the board here. And if you give me, I guess, a continuance, then I'll go and do some more homework and hopefully come back with a better job.
You will.
I mean,
be.
that, as acting chairman, that's just my opinion. The board can decide to vote on it tonight or not. I'm just expressing my opinion for the record. So,
It makes sense. Come back with a more in-depth drawing, at least of the shell of what you intend to do above the garage. And I'm sure that, you can get the runoff, especially when you build it up. I was there, so I saw that. And you might be able to even alleviate some of the runoff that's there before you put the garage in. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be a win-win.
Thanks.
all right, do I hear a motion from the board on what they would like to decide to do?
I make a motion to continue public hearing 2301 for more information for the applicant.
Second.
Do I hear a second? Mr. Ribeiro seconds. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, a yea or nay?
Aye. Aye.
Mr. DeLucia,
Aye.
Mr. Ribeiro,
Aye.
And Mr. Ruse.
Aye.
All right.
Excuse me,
Oh.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes.
Does the board wish to give Mr. Burgess a specific date to table the matter to? The next meeting we have is 2 weeks from today, so that would be the 23rd. And then the one after that is April 13th.
Is the board okay with a month's
Yeah, I
continuation?
thought 4 to 6 weeks, I think he would need at least to get a plan together.
So
All right.
April 13th. Yes?
All right.
If
Do we
he's
have
got,
to? Go ahead, Mr. Rivera.
I mean, you know, I think he's gonna need to talk to whoever's gonna
Yeah, I
do the
need a
drawings
little,
and see.
I need a little professional help here now, right? You know, no pun intended, but I need an architect to draw some things and make some plans. So if it's okay with the board, could I request a further continuance?
April 27th?
And maybe even the one after that? I'm just concerned about getting somebody's attention.
Yeah.
All right, just a moment. That would be May 11th.
Okay, perfect.
Are we within our time restraints with that,
Well,
Mary?
We will exceed the time restraints, but on Monday, I will connect with Mr. Burgess and ask for an extension, okay?
Okay. All right. Well, we have to amend this motion now, being that I just want to make sure that we get it all right. Like not to have special meetings if need be. Mary, can you clarify for that, about that? Do we need to amend that motion? 'Cause we didn't state a date.
You can state a date, motion to table until May 11th, and then just go through this again.
Okay, Mr. Sibbett, if you were the one that made the motion, would you be
Make
kind
a
enough
motion
to?
to continue the public hearing for 2301 9 Charlotte's Way to May 11th.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second,
Mr. Ribeiro seconds. Roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yea or nay?
Yay.
Mr. DeLucia,
Yay,
Mr. Rivero,
yay.
and Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
All right. Motion passes unanimously to continue to application 2301, 9 Charlotte's Way until May 11th, 2023. All right. Thank you, Mr. Burgess.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody's time.
All right. Can I have the applicant for application 2302 come and present their application?
Yes, good evening, Chairman, members of the ZBA. Name is Benjamin Dodo, licensed professional engineer with an office at 248 Main Street. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, Mr. David Cubberly, for 13 Joe's Hill Road. We're here tonight for a driveway grade variance for a single family 4-bedroom house at 13 Joe's Hill Road. Mr. Cubberly currently resides at 9A Joe's Hill Road. His parents in the last few years passed away. They sold their house at number 9, and he recently purchased number 13 from his siblings. He intends on staying in the neighborhood. He was born on Joe's Hill Road, and as you can see from looking at Dave, he's not a young man. He's been here his whole life and like to stay here. Sorry, Dave. Anyway, I'm going to start with a photograph of the site. I'm sure some of you have been there. I know you're probably all familiar with Joe's Hill Road. So I'm going to share my screen here. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the existing lot, number 13. That white van that you see to the right is at number 9 Joe's Hill Road. That's the lot that Mr. Cubberly grew up on, and that his parents used to live on. The proposal here, as you can see, the photo doesn't do it justice, but there is some steep topography. The name of the road's Joe's Hill Road. It's on Joe's Hill. For those of you that traveled it, you're very familiar with the topography here. The lot itself slopes at about 30 to 40%. It's probably 30 in the front, and as you get toward the back, you know, as you can see in the trees, it goes up even steeper as you get toward the Maplewood Drive and Maple Crest neighborhood. The proposal is to put, and I'm going to annotate it here because you can't really see it. Right here, sort of behind the hump, there's an old tennis court. This van is actually parked on the old tennis court. It's probably the only flat area of the site. I'm going to go over my design in a minute, but you'll see what I tried to do is position the house so the garage doors open to that area and actually have a flat landing area so a car can come in, go in the garage, do a 3-point turn, and come in and come back out. The driveway itself is going to start sort of in this area, come up to the left, have a switchback, and get up to the here, with the house being sort of in this area when you see it from the plan view. Mr. Cubberly did talk to his neighbors. He spoke with his neighbor to the right here with the white van. He spoke with the neighbor to the left of this site and the one across the street. I do see there are some neighbors here tonight, and I know there was a letter on file from the Maplewood and Maple Crest neighborhood. Mr. Cubberly did not speak to any of those neighbors because he quite honestly didn't feel there was any impact to them. And just to give a sense of where they live, I'm sure some of them may be talking tonight. You can see through the woods at the top of a hill, there's a house up here that sits on the ridge line up there. And I think that is the Valentine's house, if I'm not mistaken. So just, I see them here tonight, just to give a sense. So I'm going to go to my plan here. Here's my plan. It's the same plan that was submitted, only it's colored to help highlight it. Joe's Hill Road runs right here. This is heading toward New York in this direction. And as you can see, the flat area and tennis court I was talking about, when I say tennis court, it's not a tennis court anymore. It was a tennis court 50 years ago, is right here. But the topography lends itself to putting the driveway the way we have it laid out and getting there. And again, our hardship on this is pretty straightforward. It's the steep topography and slope of the lot. Coming in at a grade greater than 12%, and this plan, even though I'm asking for 16, I'm just being conservative. The actual maximum slope of this driveway is 15% on the plan. That allows us to minimize our excavations and get to that point vertically in this horizontal distance on the plan. And a couple of things I just want to note, variances that we're not asking for with this application. We're not asking for any yard variances. We're not asking for any excavation within 5 feet of a property line variances that you're familiar with. The driveway itself meets the proper angle. We're not asking for a variance to come in at a sharper angle from that. The driveway's 12 feet wide. The city minimum is 10. And we also have 2-foot shoulders on both sides to make the driveway as safe as we can coming in here. And just to get a sense, the driveway, although there is a maximum grade, the first 40 feet we're coming in at 8%, which is the city requirement. And the last several feet, as we get to this flat area at the garage doors, we want to have an area to be able to pull in, turn out, and then come back out. So you're not doing any dangerous turns with respect to anything like that. The house will have a well, which will be located somewhere in the front yard, and there'll be a septic system with the site. The septic system being right here. And as you can see, I have this green delineation, dark and light green. The dark green represents portions of the property. They're going to be completely undisturbed and remain wooded. And then to get a sense, the house itself is 338 feet to the nearest neighbor up in the rear, which are the Valentines. Okay, the city's minimum setback of a rear yard is 35. So we're well positioned away from anyone up the hill behind us. And then I just want to go over a couple other things with this plan. It is as I mentioned, it's a 4-bedroom house. The intent of Mr. Cubberly moving here, Mr. Cubberly is not a builder. He and his wife are soon to be empty nesters, and they're going to move here. They want a property without a big yard, with no yard. You could just let the woods grow here. And they're going to, finish up their time here, like Dave spent all his time on Joe's Hill Road. I want to go to, just to identify the hardships. Can everyone see this plan here?
Yep.
Okay. This is a City of Danbury GIS map. Again, it's oriented now with Joe's Hill left to right, north is facing up. The proposal that we're here for today is this orange highlighted box is where the house is going to be, and the driveway itself is coming up like this to serve the house. What I did is I went through the GIS maps and I turned the topography on, and I looked at all the driveways in this area just to sort of reinforce the idea that this hardship is unique to Joe's Hill Road and not just this property, but many of the properties in the area. So I went to see what people do on this side of the road. And as you can see, all the lots with red checks on the north side of the road, they all have driveways that exceed 12%. And what I did is I turned the contours on and I just measured it. You could see the ones with the green X's. Those are ones that have driveways less than 10%. And there's a common feature among many. Most of those houses are in the front yard setback built at the side of the road. So not all of them, but majority of them. So again, the topography is unique to this neighborhood and Joe's Hill Road. And it's not just this lot, it's many of the lots here that require that to get a proper driveway up. And then just to get a sense, if it's asked later, Mr. Cubberly currently lives in this house. He does have a driveway grade that does exceed 12% right now. I actually worked on that project with him back in 2003 when he built that house. And ZBA granted a variance for this driveway that does something like this to the same slope. It was a 16% grade we got a variance for from ZBA, and it was built at about a maximum of 15. So it's exactly what we're trying to do here today with this driveway. I'm just going to go back to my site plan here. Just want to touch on a few other things. So again, I think I highlighted what our hardships were. This property itself almost requires that a driveway like this be done. And the end result, you can see with the contours that I have on this plan, they're going to be minimal. They're going to be contained to the front to be able to allow the house and the driveway to work like that. I know on the file there was a letter from Mr. Valentine. I assume I'm going to not answer any questions until the opposition has a chance to speak, if they do so. If they don't speak, I will answer the questions of Mr. Valentine's letter anyway. I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board members may have in the meantime.
I'll let the board go ahead and ask. Any questions?
Do you want me to keep sharing the screen or you want me to turn it off or?
You can shut it off. I
Okay.
have no issue. I guess I'll go first and I'll ask a few questions. Ben, quick question. You said that the driveway starts at around 8 feet from the start of the driveway. So how many feet from the start of the driveway to where it starts to exceed the 8 feet?
It's about 40, it's about 35 to 40 feet one.
All right, so then my next question is, how many feet of driveway is above that 12 to 16 feet of grade?
Sure. I wrote that down. Let's see. We're 15% for about 180 feet.
180.
Yeah, and then it flattens out the last 70 or so as we approach, as we come around the turn to get to that. I call it the tennis court, but to that existing flat area on the site that was a former tennis court. Where you next to where you saw that white van parked, that was the neighbor's van there.
Yep.
This is the grade that we had to do to get to that point.
I understand.
Yep.
My next question is, how wide of a driveway are we talking here as it serpentines up to the house? What kind of width? 12 feet?
It's 12 feet wide. The city minimum is 10. And there are 2 foot wide shoulders on each side. When I say shoulders, just, grass, mulch, woods, whatever you have. So effective, it makes it easier when you're going around a turn, not to have an obstruction right there. So in effect, the driveway is 12 with an extra 2 feet on both sides.
Okay. My final question. If I'll be honest, my only concern with this is the availability and the of fire personnel, medics being able to get up to this house and in and out. God forbid there's some sort of emergency, fire, whatever the case might be, and the ingress, egress of the driveway down at the bottom with it during rush hour traffic. A lot of commuters using the road as a bypass to 84, 684 to get into town and having to come in and out. So I guess the question I'm going to ask is, would this driveway be able to be widened if need be to make it more safe for, medical vehicles?
Yes.
Emergency vehicles?
As I had mentioned, it could be wider because of those shoulders I had mentioned that are on either side. But, a fire truck is not going to go up a driveway like this or any of these other driveways on Joe's Hill Road. An ambulance absolutely will be able to get up this driveway. It'll actually be able to turn around up top and come back down instead of having to back out. And as far as the entrance and your question about traffic, that was one of my comments. The city has a requirement. I'm just going to use my calculator here. Ideally, a driveway is 90 degrees, and the city has a requirement 15 degrees off center is what they typically want or less, and we meet that with this layout. We come in straight before we turn. We've all been to driveways that are at a real sharp angle, and you can't make the other turn. And that's not the case here because we're only 15 degrees off of 90.
Okay. Like I said, I've lived at a house where it was a serpentine driveway, and I couldn't get guys to plow the driveway because of the space, the width of the driveway, and then getting from the bottom to the top of the house, and then being able to turn back around.
Exactly.
Even though you could do your 3-point turn and everything like that. So I just asked, it's a concern that I have, and
No, it's a valid concern, and I would just say that where Mr. Cubberly lives now at number 9A, which is 2 doors south of here, we had all the same criteria with the width of the driveway, the slope of the driveway. We came to ZBA and got a variance, again, because of the topography. That's our hardship here. It's not because we want to, or because we have, because we don't want to do something else. It's just, that's the nature when you have existing building lots on slopes of 30 to 40% like this.
Understood.
As I showed you in the plan, the houses that don't, they're all in the front yard setback. And those people, and personally, I think that's a worse situation. Getting that type of variance to put it close to the driveway, the road, and then you end up having cars backing up. A lot of those houses, their cars literally back up onto the road because there is no place for them to turn around. This property has the ability to do that up top.
All right. Thank you, Ben. I'll let the board members ask any other questions that they may have. Any questions?
No.
Any questions? All right. I'll proceed to the public comments. Anyone in favor of this application? Mary, would you like to read that? Oh, that's it's for the opposition. Disregard. Sorry. Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in favor of this application? All right. Anyone in opposition of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application?
Yes, Chair Rivas, this is Drew Valentine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go
Okay,
ahead, Mr. Valentine.
Yes, I live at 22 Maplewood Drive. My wife and I received the notice on this request to make this change to the driveway pitch. We've over the years had numerous people going back and forth into the back of the house to see what they might do to build at the bottom of the hill. Actually, the presentation that Mr. Doto showed today, I had not seen the design of the house. I was a bit concerned because what we saw in the packet, it wasn't really clear to me by the driveway exactly how far back it was. So our concern, my wife's concern is that, how many more houses are they going to put back there when you look at that wooded lot that's back there in the divide? It's a natural thoroughfare for animals and for water runoff. The wells, putting more wells at the bottom of the hill, I believe is putting more stress on the wells that we have up at the top. I've had to refrac my wells twice in the last 6 years because of I believe the challenge with the water there. And so this is a little bit different than what I had thought, and maybe I need some more time to see the drawing that he presented, because initially I thought the house would be further back. And not only this house, there's room for another house back there. There have been a number of houses built on the bottom of that hill. I'm not, again, sure on what I saw in the schematics that were done are different than the graphic images that Mr. Doto presented. But we believe it's becoming more and more of an environmental risk. The more houses that they're sticking in that space back there. And so that's why we opposed it and asked that could the zoning board ensure if there's some sort of environmental impact study to see what else comes with putting another house. There's already a number of homes back on that ridge. And I believe, and I think my neighbors believe, it is impacting the wildlife back there. And also the challenges that we're having with water at the top of the hill, as more and more houses have been built at the bottom of the hill since we went into place. So this seems to me as an opportunity to get further back into the property. I know he said there's no intent to build anything at this point, but why would we not then have an additional house behind that house? That's where I've seen most of the measurements. If you look down from my house, then we would have another home that would be using this same thoroughfare to get back into that property. So those are my initial concerns. I know a number of my neighbors have shown up with some of the same concerns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Valentine. Anyone else in opposition of the application?
I am. I'd like them to speak to, we have a wooded area back there. We're off of 84. We hear noise already, okay? If you're taking that barrier away from us, what else, what are you putting in place? how are we going to keep the noise down? We need to see more on the protection of the runoff too. We have a retention pond here, and it's question about the drainage. What's going to be done? Right now, my yard gets flooded, and it is the natural flow of the water that goes down to where this variance of the driveway is. So, as my husband, I'd just like to see more.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition?
Sorry, Harry, just I would say one more, or maybe some restriction that no other building will be put back there. If, as Mr. Dodo showed, I did not see the drawing as it was depicted today. And if it really is going to be so much further, if there's nothing else back there, is that something that could be added to this? Again, my concern is it going further back. And even more, if you were to look at a Google map image of this, there's a natural rockway that flows between those, right? You can't tell the pitch. I know one of the chair or one of the committee members that went to the house before this, but if you went back there, it is a very steep pitch that we're talking about, right? And taking trees out, excavating what is a rock formation now that keeps it sturdy. I'm just concerned about what's going to happen as they eat further back into that hill.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Valentine. Anyone else in opposition of this application?
Mr. Chairman, this is Matt Jarbo. I am the Valentine's neighbor. I live at 24 Maplewood Drive. I share the same concerns as the Valentines have voiced. My primary concern, as Mr. Valentine voiced, is the impact to the aquifer. I would like to see what, if any, impact this has to the aquifers there, because I too have had to refrac the well, and we're down right now, I think 600-800 feet. That's how far we have to go down. So this is definitely an issue. Second is I wholeheartedly agree with Mrs. Valentine with respect to the impact to the natural sound barrier that provides sound protection to us from not only Interstate 84, but Mill Plain Road as well. And then just I drove through the area the other day, looked at the site with respect to the grade, that the more significant grade, as Mr. Dodo mentioned, is way at the back of the property heading up towards the Valentines. That runoff is tremendous. So I would, if I were building on that site, I would want to understand what type of mitigation system could be in place. Because also I would think that the board would like to understand what impact, if any, could that potential runoff have down to Joe's Hill Road, flooding, ice, you name it. So those are my concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Jarbo. Anyone else in opposition of this application? Anyone else in opposition of this application? Mr. Dodo, I'll let you get your rebuttal.
Sure. Thank you. So I'm going to touch on a couple of the comments that were made. First, Mr. Valentine's, just in the order they came in, Mr. Valentine's comments as far as how many other houses can be built here. And that's a very easy question. Let me just get to my map here. And everyone can see my screen again, I hope.
Yep.
Yes.
So the Valentines live here. Mr. Jarbo, do you live to the right or the left of the Valentines?
As we're looking at this, to the left.
So you're a flag lot here in the rear?
Yep.
Okay.
That's my little retention. As Mrs. Valentine mentioned, that's one of the retention ponds there in the back property, back of the property.
So that's good. I just put a J by yours.
Very good.
So to get a sense, this is the Coverly's lot that we're here for tonight, asking for a variance on driveway grade. There are no other houses that could be built on this lot based on the property's lot width and frontage. Even though we have 2 acres in a 1 acre zone, there's no ability to get an additional lot on this property. Mr. Coverly currently lives here. can't get one there either. And then this is where his parents used to live. It's since been sold. There's no way to get another one there either. So, and then I think to answer some of the other questions with respect to what's going to
Sorry,
remain
is it,
untouched.
is it allowable if I just ask a question to your last point, or do I have to wait?
No, Mr. Jarbo, sorry. This is the rebuttal, and then unfortunately, there is no rebuttal. So we have to let Mr. Doto finish.
The lot we're here for today can only be one lot. If the ZBA were to grant this variance tonight, we would still need to go to submit for building permits. We'd have to get health department approval. There would be an erosion and sedimentation, sediment control bond that would be posted. A drainage system will need to be designed to accommodate the runoff. That was a question that was asked. And I actually already met with the construction services department to just sort of get a sense, because I kind of anticipated this question. I'm going to zoom in on the drawing here, if I could figure out how to do that. You know what? I'm not going to zoom in on it. There's a catch basin here. There's a catch basin here, and there's a catch basin here in Joe's Hill Road. This is storm piping that runs this way. The city would make us most likely put a catch basin at the base of the driveway on top of some detention system that we will have to connect to that system. One of the things that you see it when you drive around town on some older houses, it's not so much the water runoff, it's the water runoff in the wintertime when you get icing. And so a system will need to be designed for that, and that would come when we applied for building permits. As far as the comments on the well, it sounds like that neighborhood has well issues right now. We are not going to be doing anything other than putting one well right here near the front of the property. And one of the things that we're going to have too is we're going to have a septic system. And one of the things when you have a well septic combo, you're recharging what you're taking out. You pump water out in your well, you use it, goes down the sink, the toilet, through the septic system, back into the ground. One of the things that the Maplewood and Maple Crest neighborhood has, they're all on city sewer, or at least most of them are, if I'm not mistaken. So they're actually pumping water out of the ground, and instead of recharging it, their sewage is going to the Still River and not back into the ground like the neighbors on Joe's Hill. So, and any well that we would get permitted would have to be approved by the health department, which is basically the state of Connecticut authorizing that. And then as far as groundwater, water runoff, the ponds up top here, and all their drainage up on a hill, there is no possible way this development, no matter what we did on this property, could possibly affect that. Just to give a sense, and I'm going to look at Mr. Valentine's house, Mr. and Mrs. Valentine's house, because they were the closest, and he did submit a letter, so I sort of took some measurements. The house that we're proposing here sits 338 feet to the property line and probably about 380 feet to Mr. Valentine's house and Mrs. Valentine's house. We sit about 160 feet below their house in elevation. So again, there's nothing from a drainage standpoint. Their water flows down toward the Cubberleys, not the other way around. So there's nothing that we're going to do that would impact drainage. Then there was mention made to the ridge line. And I'm going to go back to that photo, but Mr. Cubberley is not touching the ridge line with his proposal. The ridge line is actually their backyards sit up on it. They have beautiful vistas and views, you know, when they're talking about towards 84. This wooded area of Mr. Cubberley's, what would be his backyard, is going to remain a wooded area. We're not affecting the ridge line at all. We're not doing any work on the ridge line. None of the ridge line exists on Mr. Cubberley's property. When you look at the topography, you can see he's on a hillside from there down, and it's not until you get to the backyard of the neighbors here who spoke tonight that do things start to level off. So again, to get a sense, the photos I showed you, the trees will need to be cleared to here, and that's almost where they have been cleared to today. There may be a couple more coming down in this area, but again, the intent is not to go up the hill. And again, if the variance is granted, and it's obviously up to the ZBA to grant it or not, you guys, at least on the last few I got, you usually grant it per plan submitted. So I think that would alleviate any concerns that Mr. Valentine had as, well, what if something changes? And what if they go further up the hill? It would be per plan submitted. The house would have to be where the house is. The driveway would have to be where the driveway is and at the grade it is. The house got a little smaller. That's a different story. It would be within the footprint, but I think there, you know, the controls are there. And then as far as, let's see, runoff. Oh, the question about an environmental analysis being done. There's no reason for an environmental analysis to be done for a driveway grade. As I had mentioned, there will be more permits here. There will be sediment and erosion control permits with the health department. There'll be health department septic permits, zoning permits. But I think the most important thing to say is we're 340 feet away from their property line with the back of the house. The zoning regulations allow 35, but the topography, ironically, prevents anything from being done up there beyond where we show on our plan. So I think I've addressed all the comment. Oh, noise. I didn't mention noise. As I said, they're up on the ridge line, we're on the hillside. So, and most of the trees have been cleared already that you saw in the photo. So as far as noise, I'm going to go back to my photo only because of it. You can see the bulk, at least half of the lot is still treed. Most of that's going to remain. There may be a couple more trees that come down. So the noise that they'll hear will be no different than you have today. And plus, they sit 150 plus feet vertically above us. And I think I've answered all the questions on here. And I just want to reiterate, Mr. Cubberley is not a builder. He's a lifelong resident of Joe's Hill Road. And he plans to, this is his house that he plans to live in and downsize. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Doto. Any follow-up questions from the board members?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. We need to make sure that we're bearing in mind right now that all we are considering is a variance for a driveway. I think that we've taken 20 steps beyond that. I understand everybody's concerned about the possibility of what the dwelling might, where it might be located on the property and the impacts that it might have on it. But that's something that's a little bit further on down the road. Tonight, just so everybody understands, the applicant's seeking a variance for a driveway and not a home at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. Any further questions from the board? If there are none, I would ask the board to decide what they would like to do. Close the public, I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing if they are set, are okay with everything that they've heard here tonight.
I'm sorry, did you say we had a period where we could rebut?
No, Mr. Valentine, I'm sorry. It's your comments, Mr. Doto's rebuttal, and then we move forward. I apologize.
Okay, No, I would say, I think he stated at the beginning that he would wait until we spoke to rebut what we said initially. A couple of things he said afterwards were different than what we talked about. So that's why I was confused, but okay, those are the rules, but he didn't give the whole argument up front, waiting to hear what we had to say. And I thought that was the purpose of this, so that we could hear all of that.
Okay. I hear you, Mr. Valentine. I'll try the minds of the board on their close application 23-02.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for application 2302, 13 Joe's Hill, from Mr. Coverly, seeking a variance to increase the maximum driveway center line grade from 12 to 16%.
Do I hear a second?
Per plan submitted.
No, we're not
just
voting
closing
on,
the-
we're just closing,
yeah.
closing
just
the public hearing.
Yeah, they're closing the. All right, Mr. DeLucia seconds the motion. Roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yea or nay?
Mr. Sibbett, you're muted.
Yay.
All right, Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Rivera,
Yay.
and Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
All right. Motion to close the application 2302, 13 Joe's Hill Road, passes unanimously. Do I have a motion to open application 2302 for voting session?
I
I
make a
make a
motion,
motion. Oh, after you, sir.
Okay. I make a motion to
Go, go.
open for voting 2302, 13 Joe's Hill Road, Coverly David, RA 40 zone, section 8.B.1.B3, increase maximum driveway center line grade from 12% to 16%.
All right, do I hear a second? All right, Mr. Ruse seconds. Roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yea or nay?
Yay.
Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Ribeiro,
Yay.
Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
All right, application 23-02 is open for voting session. I'll try the board's minds to decide what they want to do.
The only thing that I want to say is just, as I mentioned during the public hearing, is to remind us of what we are, the variance that we're voting on.
Yeah. The
That it's
driveway.
not for,
Yeah.
yeah, it's exactly. It's not for a home that will come at a later time, I'm sure. Maybe it ends up before the ZBA, maybe it doesn't. I think that the people who were opposed to the application will have ample opportunities to express their opinions as this project continues further on down the road. But again, we are only voting on a driveway.
All right, with that being said,
As such, I make a motion to approve 2302 13 Joe's Hill Road, located in RA 40 zone. Variance to increase the maximum driveway center line grade from 12 to 16%. The hardship here is definitely a question of topography, and this would be per plan submitted.
do I hear a
Second.
second? Mr. Sibbett seconds, roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yea or nay?
Yay.
Mr. DeLucia, yea or nay?
Yay.
Mr. Ribeiro,
Yay.
Mr. Ruse?
Yay.
All right, motion passes to approve application 23-02, 13 Joe's Hill Road, as per plan submitted.
Thank you.
All right, can I have the applicant for 23-03, 62 Triangle Street? Can to come forward and present their application. Mr. Beecher, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Tom Beecher and I represent JAR Associates LLC. And with me.
Mr. Beecher, one second. Just for the record, Mr. Rivero will be recusing himself from this. Okay, just for the record. Continue, Mr. Beecher, sorry for the interruption.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Dodo is with me on this application as well this evening. This property is 62 Triangle Street. It's in the IL 40 zone, which is an industrial zone. And this property is approved for a contractor's yard. We've applied for variances of section 6A3 and 6C2B of the regulations to reduce the front yard setback from Star Street from 30 feet to 21 feet, and to reduce the front yard planting strip on Star Street from 20 feet to 11 feet. These are the exact same variances that this board granted for this property back in 2017. But by way of background, in 2017, the board granted these two variances. And as is the usual custom of this board, the variances were granted per plan submitted. We submitted a copy of that approved variance with this application. Our client would now like to build a contractor's garage on this side of the property. And therefore, because our plan has changed, we're submitting this application for the same variances, but with this new plan, it now shows the proposed building on this side of the property. The front yard setback in the IL 40 zone is 30 feet. As part of the original project and approval of that project, the city required a taking of a portion of the frontage along Star Street for road widening and a required sidewalk. We have since given the city an easement for the sidewalk and a deed for the road widening strip. What we asked for back in 2017 and what we're asking for again tonight are 9-foot variances, the same 9-foot reduction in the front yard setback along Star Street, the same 9-foot reduction in the planting buffer strip on Star Street. And the net effect of our request, same as last time, is that we'll end up with the very same setback line as before the loss of that property for the sidewalk and the roadway. What's important to also note about this property is that this property has two front yards, one on Star Street and the other on Triangle Street. We're only asking for these variances on Star Street. The 30-foot front yard setback on Triangle Street will remain compliant. Now, the side yard setback requirement in the IL 40 zone is 20 feet. So we're two front yards. If you looked at Star Street as a side yard, if you granted this variance, we'd be at 21 feet, which is a foot more than the 20-foot setback requirement for a side yard. So again, there's really two hardships here. We have two front yards. And the second hardship is the fact that the city did take some land along Star Street for the road widening strip. The bottom line is it's the same variances, just a different plan. It now includes the large garage, which in my opinion, I think is an improvement with equipment and vehicles stored indoors on this property, as opposed to an open contractor's yard in that area. But at this point, I'll let Ben show you the new plan so you can just orient once again this site.
Okay, good evening. For the record, Benjamin Dodo. I'm here representing the applicant, and just as Tom did, I worked on this site back in 2017 when the original variances were granted. And just to get a sense of the plan, this is the same plan that you have in front of you. The only difference is colored. Here's star, here's triangle, and the property line is right here. To get a sense of where we are. I just didn't color the rest of the site because I'm trying to focus on where we are today. So as Tom mentioned, here is the 10,800 square foot building that we're proposing. We're putting it right at the edge of where the existing contractor's yard is that we received a variance for back in 2017. So everything that you see there in green is, and it's more than just grass. There's trees, there's some landscaping. There's a privacy fence that was also required because in the zoning regulations, when you have construction equipment stored, it's required the screen be put up. That screen is there, and that's going to remain unchanged. And then the road widening that Tom had mentioned. There we are. I just color the rest of the site.
Excuse me, whoever that is, can you please mute?
They did.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Dodo.
No, that's okay. And again, I just colored the something about coloring the site. I just colored this portion of the site just so we could focus on it. But to get a sense of the rest of the site, there is a driveway entrance here. That's going to remain unchanged. There's a driveway here that's going to remain unchanged. And for fuel cell energy has a power plant here. Again, that's going to remain unchanged, as will the rest of the contractor's yard. The rest of the contractor's yard will remain a yard. It's just going to be slightly smaller than it is today. The road widening that Tom mentioned that was done back in 2017, the current edge of pavement is roughly right here. Well, it is right here, not roughly. This road was, depending on where you are, 8 to 9 feet of property was given. The old Star Road was, for those of you who remember, was a very narrow road and it had an awkward turn here. So that's one of the reasons we ended up getting a variance for it back in 2017. But again, if you imagine that tan building being taken out, it's going to be put in the place of an existing contractor's yard where we're storing equipment. All the garage bays are going to face inside the yard. The garage doors are on this side of the building. There's going to be no, there may be a man door or windows on this side, but there'll be no garage doors or access directly to Star Street. You'll have to come in the driveway system just like you do today. It'll be at grade. There'll be very little earthwork done here. And obviously, if the variances are granted, we'd have to go through a revised site plan approval process where we'll do the associated supplemental plans with respect to grading, drainage, water, and sewer. But I'm not going to get into detail on that now unless any commissioner has a question.
Could you please confirm the height of the structure?
Oh, sure. It's 30 feet high. This zone allows a height of 45.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dodo.
You're welcome. And just to get a sense too, the building coverage on this, we're only at about 8% building coverage. The zone allows 30.
You said 8%?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dodo.
You're welcome.
All right. Any questions from the board? There are no questions from the board. I'll proceed to the public comments. Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application? Can I have a motion to close application 23-03
I make a motion to close the public hearing for 23-03.
Do I hear a second?
A
Second,
second.
I think Mr. Sibbett beat you, Pete.
Yeah.
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yay or nay?
yay,
Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Ruse,
Yay.
and I'm yay. Motion to close application 23-03 from public hearing passes unanimously. Do I have a motion to open up application 23-03 for voting session?
Make a motion to open application 2303 for voting.
All right, do I hear a second?
second,
All right, Mr. Sibbett seconds. Roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yay or nay?
yay,
Mr. DeLucia, yay or nay?
Yay.
Mr. Ruse?
Yay.
All right, I'm yay on the vote. Passes unanimously. All right, gentlemen, what is your decision on the application?
I make a motion to approve application 2303, 62 Triangle Street for JIAR Associates in a zone, on IL 40 zone. They would like to reduce the front yard setback from 30 to 21 feet on Star Street, which is section C 6A3, and to reduce the front yard planting strip from 20 feet to 11 feet on Star Street, which is under section 6C2. This was an application that the board had approved earlier, hadn't it been for the fact that the city of Danbury needed to take over some of that front yard. I don't think we would be here right now. Their plans were altered a little bit, but it looks as if though that's keeping fairly close to the application that was approved before. Another hardship is the fact that they have 2 front yards. This will be per plan submitted, and in addition to all the submitting of any other pertinent studies that need to be done.
All right, do I hear a second?
I second.
Mr. DeLucia second that one. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yay or nay?
yay,
Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Ruse?
Yay.
And I am a yay for that. All right, application 23-03, 62 Triangle Street passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
You as well.
All right, can I have the applicant for application 23-04 present their application?
Yes, good evening. For the record, Mike Mizuko, professional engineer. My office is in Danbury, representing the owners and applicant, Petros and Adriana Filipakos, for this proposal to put an attached garage in addition to the house in the rear, and expand or move their deck essentially. And I'll share a screen and I'll just kind of walk you through it. This lot is in the RA20 zone. And it's an undersized lot, and it is, let me just get to the survey map. So this is a survey map. So it's a sort of a odd shape, more rectangular lot. As I said, it's in the RA20. There's the RMF4 zone is across the street from Park Avenue to the north, and to the west, on the other side of West Worcester, is the IL40 zone. And the lot is 11,581 square feet. And you can see this is the proposed plan here. It's a map done by Sid Rapp. And I just want to flip screens here because I just want to show you. I'm sorry, it's tipped the other way, but this shows the existing dwelling in yellow, and there is an existing deck, which is hard to see on the other maps, but there is an existing deck here, and a portion of that is covered that's existing. So I've been working with the Philippakis for probably a couple of years. Initially, they really wanted was a garage and an expansion of some space for storage. And so initially we had looked at putting a detached garage, back in this area, because they still wanted to maintain some form of deck. The problem with that is you can see as you come around this, the only way you can access it is come around this side here, and the topography gets pretty steep, not far from the house down to Park Avenue. And it just didn't really sit well with the house, the deck, and then this detached garage back here. And plus it was much lower in elevation and it created some problems. And so I had recommended, looking at putting it here, and I'm just going to turn that layer on so you can see it. So there we go. So now this is what they're looking for. And again, this property has 3 fronts and it is sort of more rectangular. So there's the allowable envelope to build within the setbacks is not a lot. It's very narrow from Park Avenue south. So I suggested that they put the garage up in this corner where they would just easily access from the existing driveway, turn and go into the garage where the doors would be facing south. Now this is the addition that they're proposing, and then the deck would be outside of that. And because this 15-foot setback for the side yard here would be impacted, but it's sort of parallel to the existing house, so it's not really any further closer to the south than the current house is. And so I'll walk you through the building plan so you can kind of take a look at it. So this is the plan view, the garage in that corner, the addition out the back, and then the deck. So this would be looking at it from Delta Avenue. The garage doors would be facing, this way here, and this would be the addition for the garage right here. This would be looking at it from Park Avenue. So you can see it's not any higher than the existing house. And basically it's a flat roof for the addition here. And then the deck would be here. And then this is looking at the sort of the rear view. And you can see there's an existing shed dormer along the back. And part of the reasons for this flat roof was to not impact any of that. And so you can see that this is the roof line here of the addition. And then of course the deck. And then there's just a door into the new garage from here and some stairs going down to access the existing grade over here. So in addition to the variances, which there are a number of them because of the roads, then as I said, there's three fronts, which this one down here on West Worcester is not really impacted because it's far enough away. But the side yard, which is along the southerly line, is impacted, as well as the lot coverage. And with the lot being 11,581 square feet, it's closer to a lot that's typical in the RA8 zone rather than the RA20, where in the RA8 zone, the allowed coverage is 30%. So we're going from 20 to 24.1. And then I just want to also show you, this is just the GIS map for the city of Danbury. And you see many of the lots along Delta Avenue, especially this stretch here, are all pretty close to the same size. They're about 1/4 of an acre apiece. And they do have similar issues with side setbacks and such. So it's sort of a typical issue in the area because of the undersized lots and the current zone that they're in. So that's pretty much the proposal that we're presenting here tonight, and you can see this is just a satellite image view. Just kind of gives you a little bit better. Regen. Oh, there we go. I don't know if I can, there we go. So you can see this is the house in question, and then there's the surrounding area. You can see across the street is, you know, more of the multifamily RMF4 zone, and then not really impacted too much over here on the IL40 because it's a vacant piece. There's not really anything there. So that's about it. If you got any questions, oh, and we did provide for some drainage too, because we're increasing, you know, we are increasing a bit of impervious area. So we did put a catch basin here for the driveway. It's just very flat in here. We didn't want any ponding and icing, so we just put a catch basin there, piped it around. We'll pick up roof drainage, and we have some stormwater management down in the rear of the property.
A quick question. What does that brown circle denote?
It's just a temporary soil stockpile for during construction. You would just, where you have an excavation for a foundation, you would just stockpile some either topsoil that you strip off, or, you know, some temporary piles while you're digging, you know, digging and installing the foundation before you backfill.
Great, thanks. I need stronger glasses.
Well, I can just tell me to zoom in and I can zoom in.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any questions from the board? All right. Well, I have a few. Mr. Mizuko, I noticed that on the site plan A-1.1, the addition is labeled as new storage. Can you please define if it's the addition is for living space or storage?
It's my understanding, and the owner and applicants here, they could speak on that, but it was my understanding that it's more for storage and not, you know, per se like expansion of living space. It's just the two of them. They're, you know, they're sort of, you know, semi-retired, and like I said, they lived here for 30 years. It's their home. They don't want to go anywhere, but they also want to, you know, they need some space for storage, and they'd like to have a garage. They keep their vehicles inside.
All right, with that being said, then A-2.2.1, that site plan depicts the back of the house. Underneath that deck, is that then, being that this is now being considered as storage, not living space, is that, should I consider that as garage bays or just open space area?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What were you talking about again? This space here?
No, that's site plan A-2.1. So that one right there.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
If the space is being considered for storage more so than a living space, is it safe to say then that those are garage bays, or is just open space?
These here?
Yes.
No, these just depict open space underneath the deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no sort of entryway for,
No,
okay,
no, there's gonna be no basement here. It's just gonna be just frost walls or just, yeah, it's not gonna be a full basement here. The storage area is gonna be above grade here.
okay. And then my third question, and I'll leave it at that, is the current square footage. Actually, I have two more questions. The current square footage to the proposed square footage of that addition, then what can you tell me what that is?
All right, so let me just, I was trying to clarify what the question is. Is it?
Well, I'm gonna have a question for Sean, I think, because the proposed, the garage, I think is, and Sean, you can jump in at any time. Is the proposed garage considered as a whole living space, or is that something separate to the addition when it comes to living space, or is that coverage area then that we're talking about?
I think in terms of the coverage, it's building coverage, and that's in front of the building. And I think Sean.
Okay.
Sean can
Building
weigh in on
coverage. Yeah, I agree with Mike.
Okay. Then my question then would, I guess I would rephrase my question as, what is then the proposed square footage of this addition? Is for storage? I'm a little confused because it's for storage, but that's a reasonable size addition for it to just be storage only. I'm just trying to clarify, is it really being used for storage, or is it being used for for living space?
Well, the owners are here and they can certainly speak to it, but it was, like I said, it was my understanding that they were going to be using it for storage.
Okay. I don't know if they would like to speak or not.
Yes, it's Mike, as we spoke about that, it is storage strictly. We're going to eliminate the set in the back, and we want to keep things closer to us.
Bring all the stuff we
So
have
we
in
don't
the
have to
garages
walk.
and Warburg.
And we don't have to keep things so we can put the cars in the garage. We don't have to store it lots.
For the back.
Yeah. So that's the back area we're talking about. We are looking for a storage area.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, that's all I have. I don't know if anybody else has any further questions.
I have a question for whoever, for two people that have lived there all their life. I can understand the garage to keep their cars out of the weather. They have a two-story dwelling. Why do they need so much storage, and why do they need such a large deck for two people? It seems like there's way too much extra room for two people.
Can I talk?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay. So we have accumulated over the years quite a few things that we're storing right now in Warbury, Mike. I told you we have two garages there full of stuff we don't want to get rid of. So we have to get them closer anyway as we going through, rearranging things in Warbury.
And
so
my stuff for the church that I'm doing every time.
She has a lot of things that she's working, with those.
Helping the church
Helping
and
the
with
church and
different
everything else.
events.
And it's not, we cannot go in up and down now in the basement. And we don't have, the space there really to put all these things that we have. So in reality, we do need a bigger space. My set, I cannot even walk in there. So we're getting rid of that. And plus some additional stuff that we're going to bring down, we don't want to get rid of them. And I believe we do need some extra space back there. That's the reality.
So it sounds to me like you're building a huge addition because you've got too much stuff that you're hoarding, and
Yes.
you just want to keep it all in the house.
Correct, it's close to us because it's
On one spot.
on one place, yeah, because they are spread all over the place over the years. And it's not really for what we have. I don't think it's it's really too much.
I need only half for myself for the stuff I'm doing for church, for Christmas, for Easter, for other occasion, Festival of Tables.
Yeah, so, but,
And over the years, I have accumulated so much stuff that only half of that space I would
she's going to occupy
with
anyway.
my stuff.
So that's the intention, sir. We just need a little extra space. That's all. And also, and for the porch that you mentioned, we do like to invite people. We do like to invite people and you know, spend some time outside if the weather permits. So we have we have a big porch at this point. We don't want to get rid of it. We want to, you know, go a little further and have another porch so we can spend some time outside when the weather permits.
Well, I made a site visit and I can understand why you need a nice big flat deck, because the current deck you have would be unsuitable for entertaining anybody because it's like 2 or 3 levels.
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat that?
No, he was just saying that the current deck is multi-level and would be hard to, you know, you
It's
don't.
not multi.
typically you
No,
don't
one
have-
level. It's
It's
one
one
level.
level. It's one level, Mike. It's not multi-level. It's one level. And the next one, it may be a little smaller, but still, we're going to have a porch to spend some
Yeah,
time out.
the new one's probably smaller than the one that's there now.
I understand that. We cannot accommodate both the same. I mean, we cannot have the
That's
same
not what it
size.
looked like to me, and I was out there 2 or 3 different times.
What? What was the comment?
I was out to look at this property 2 or 3 times, and the deck that you have now was not very big. It's just because it's on a hillside. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't think you need that big a deck.
It won't be the same anyway, Mike. All right. Then the next, the new deck,
It's not that big.
it's not that big anyway. It's not. It will be smaller than what we have right now anyway.
It's
Because we
probably
put it
similar
extra,
in size.
we put in the storage area back there. Yeah.
The deck you're gonna put in on your house is bigger than my downstairs in my house. And that consists of a living room and a kitchen.
Yeah.
So it's very big.
Okay.
We're going big with entertainment anyway.
That's okay.
Very big than small, no, sir?
If we can do that anyway, we'll see. Yeah. What other questions? we have?
That's all I have.
All right. Okay.
Any further questions from the board? All right. I'd like to just add on, I understand the hardships, the three front yards, it's crazy. I live on a property that's 2 front yards, so I understand. I feel like there's a lot trying to be crammed in to the lot. Again, I understand the hardships. I feel like that additional storage or living space is a little excessive, but that's my opinion. Being no other further questions, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in favor of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please
Yes.
state your name?
Yep, I'm Blaine Talbot. I live next door at number 3 Delta Avenue.
Okay.
And
Just a second, Mr. Talbot. Mr. Mizuko, can you please close out the screen so we can, and if need be, we'll ask you to reshare. All right, Mr. Talbot, go ahead.
Okay, I just have some concerns on the side yard that's adjoining my property. I just feel like they could move their addition or maybe closer to Park Avenue since they're already requesting a variance on that side. I mean, I understand that's a non-conforming issue on the near my property. But, and then, I mean, I also have concerns just in the future, somebody 5-10 years from now decides to build or turn it into a living room, build on top of it. I don't know. It just seems like an awful lot to me, or that there's some other solution. You can still get the same amount of space, just not necessarily have to put it as close to, the side yard, because our houses are already 15 feet apart. But that's my concerns. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Talbot. Anyone else in opposition of this application? Anyone else in opposition of this application? Being no other public comment or questions from the board, I will try your minds to
I make a motion,
close.
I'm sorry, I make a motion to close the public hearing for 2304.
Second,
All right, Katie, roll call vote. I think Mr. Rivero seconded that. Mr. Civic, yea or nay?
yay.
Mr. DeLucia, yea or
Yay.
nay? Mr. Rivero
Yay.
and Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
All right, motion to close application 23-05, I believe it is. Or 04. It passes unanimously. All right, do I have a motion
make a
to open? Go ahead, Mr. Roost.
I make a motion to open 2304 for voting.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Rivero seconds, roll call vote. Can, Mr. Civic,
Yay.
yay or nay? All right, Mr. DeLucia.
Yay.
All right, Mr. Rivero
Yay.
and Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
All right, and we are, it passes unanimously for voting session. All right, gentlemen, I can try your minds.
The only comment I have, it looks to me, talking about whether it's too big, too small, whatever, but they're not encroaching any closer on that side property line than they already are right now. So the depth of what they're doing, is what's giving them the size of the deck and the addition. But right now their house is just as close to that side yard setback, and the existing deck is that close. So I don't think they're encroaching any closer than they already are today.
All right. Whoever's ready.
I make a
That's
motion.
the-
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I got a quick question before you do that. Is that proposed addition for storage also 2 stories, or is that 1?
No, it's got a flat roof on that one, because it looks like
That's
there's
not
a
the
dormer over the top of it.
Yeah.
Storage room, okay. All right, thank you. That's all I got. Thanks.
I make a motion to approve 2304 1 Delta Avenue, Falapas, Petros and Adriana, RA 20 zone, section 4.A.3, reduce front yard setback from 30 feet to 12.9 feet. Park and reduce front setback 30 feet to 12.3 feet. Delta for proposed garage, reduces front yard setback from 30 feet to 25.3 feet. Reduce side yard setback from 15 feet to 5.9 feet for proposed addition. Reduce front setback from 30 feet to 22.2 feet. Park and side setback from 15 feet to 6.9 feet for proposed deck, and increase the maximum building coverage from 20% to 24.1% per plan submitted.
Can I add a stipulation to that?
Yep.
My stipulation would be that the proposed addition for storage does not permit for living space.
Okay, so that the proposed addition for storage is not, cannot be used for living space per plan submitted.
All right.
A sec-
Who was the second? All right, Peter seconds. All right, roll call, vote. Mr. Sibbett, yay or nay?
Nay.
That's one nay. Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Rivero,
Yay.
Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
All right, and Mary, I'll be a nay.
You will be a nay.
Nay. That's 3 yays, 2 nays. What? That's a no-go?
That's correct.
Okay. Application fails. Or
Do
doesn't
we,
pass.
do we do it without prejudice so they can revise, or how does that work?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. My no vote is, I understand the hardship of the 3 front setbacks. I believe that we're taking something that's already non-conformant on an undersized lot, which is another hardship. But I think that we're, with that addition and the garage, I think we're just cramming a little bit too much into the lot. So I'm okay if they want to come back with something maybe revised that can lessen that extremity or that hardship. I'm more than happy, and I'm fine with denying it without prejudice. That's just me, but we have a whole board.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, without prejudice.
Okay.
Should we take a motion, Mr. Chairman, to deny it without prejudice?
All right, I'll hear a motion to deny without prejudice.
I make a motion to deny 2304 without prejudice, 1 Delta Avenue.
All right, do I hear a second?
Aye.
Mr. Sibbett got the second there. Roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yea or nay?
Yay.
All right, Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Rivero,
Yay.
and Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
And I'm a yay. That's the motion passes unanimously to deny without prejudice after the roll call vote of 3-2. Anything
Make a
else,
motion
Mary,
to
that we need
close.
to do?
I just want to remind all you guys that if you're scheduled for the class on Saturday, it's this Saturday at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
And
All right,
just one more comment, Michael, did you receive the link from the Connecticut Bar Association?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
I'm all set to go.
Great.
Michael,
Okay.
how long is it from 9 o'clock to when?
9 to 5.
okay.
Better VCR your basketball games.
We have a motion, to adjourn, Chairman?
Yeah, I'm working on that. Okay, we have no continued public hearings, no old business, no new business, no correspondence, no other matters. Try your minds, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I hear a second, roll call vote. Mr. Sibbett, yea or nay?
Yay.
Mr. DeLucia,
Yay.
Mr. Rivero,
Yay.
and Mr. Ruse.
Yay.
Motion to adjourn passes unanimously.
Have
All
a
right,
good
so
night,
quickly,
guys.
guys, Rick, thank you so much for showing up, guys. I really appreciate it.
No
And
worries.
Mary, again, thanks for your help. And Juan, man, really nice job as chairman.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Well
Thank you.
done. Okay,
That's
good
right,
night.
Marie.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.
Night.
Good
All
night.
right, good night, everyone.